Hey everyone! Before we open today's file, please make sure to follow us on Instagram at d.s.radio, where you can find all the images that go along with today's case. You can drop us an email at contact.dsradio@gmail.com. You can find all of our socials in the Linktree bio on our Instagram profile, including links to merch. If you're feeling especially generous, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dystopian simulation radio, where you can get access to our exclusive Instagram page and make suggestions for upcoming episode topics that you would like us to cover. Speaking of Patreon, thanks to our Patreons, Riff Cult, Cropley Crab, Cash Broadus, Raspberry Jr., Jason R. Nelson, Creepy Paper, Jamie Sook, Michael Laughlin, Lindsay Keller, Mike Wright, Greer Weaver, Kelsey Carruthers, Linz Gibbon, Drake Holvig, Only Child, Michael M, Wesley Akers, Riaz K, Emily Medeiros, Pip, Heather Wynn, Graves, Devon Sweatshirt, The Ordained Sinister Minister, and Philip Hoffman.
Hi everybody and welcome to Dystopian Simulation Radio. I'm your host Chris.
And I'm your other host Linz.
And today we are coming at you with a very special Q&A episode, or an AMA if you will. We put the call out on Instagram about a week ago, just asking for some questions. If anybody wanted to know anything, follow up on cases, things like that. And we've got a potpourri mix of things here today, Linz.
Uh-oh.
I've seen the questions. Linz hasn't.
Oh.
So,
why am I scared?
There's a couple in here, but for the most part, it's all right.
Oh, God.
So there aren't any particular images to go along with today's episode, but just as a reminder, please follow our Instagram at d.s.radio. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can always join us over on our Patreon at
patreon.com/dystopian simulation radio.
Exactly. So, are you ready for the first question, Linz?
As ready as I will probably ever be.
Well, this one comes from Livy, who asks the very poignant question, what is an AMA? That one tickled me quite a lot. Thank you very much, Livy. I think he said he was hoping that it was some kind of great sponsorship deal, which unfortunately it isn't. But if anybody out there wants to sponsor us, just send us money.
Oh gosh, AMA, amateur martial arts, just me and you doing some backyard wrestling in a garage somewhere.
I mean, to be fair, it's not that big of a stretch. So the next question comes from Tom, who says, which of the many characters that have been featured on DSR would you like to have dinner and a chat with?
Oh my God, Louis de Rougemont, if he was alive. Definitely. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, Louis de Rougemont was a guy who, I can't really spoil it, can I, for people who haven't heard? Skip ahead 20 seconds if you haven't heard that episode. But it's the guy who pretended he'd been a castaway for over 20 years in the Australian outbacks or on an island somewhere, I can't recall. But he was just a compulsive bullshitter and a really great storyteller, and he fooled the world. So definitely for me, de Rougemont.
Yeah, I think that was me as well. I just want to sit someone down who claims to be able to surf turtles or jet ski turtles, I suppose, really, and just kind of get inside that mind. I think.
Yeah, I want to know about the flying wombat.
Yes, the flying wombat.
Oh,
that
God. He could show
story.
us his tanned arms, you know?
Yeah.
He actually used his tanned arms as proof. People are like, show us your body. If you've been walking around naked in the sun for 20 years, you're going to be leathery as fuck. And he was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be Louis de Rougemont for me as well. If I had to pick another answer, if we couldn't have dinner with the same person, I think Clavius Narcisse, the man who claimed to be a zombie, would be quite an interesting person to have dinner with. I think just the general conversation alone. I mean, dinner and a nice chat. I mean, what would he want to eat?
2 plates of brains, please.
I know,
Or
just
some
the place.
kind of, or maybe, oh my gosh, I thought of somebody else. Mao Sugiyama, the guy who ate his own penis.
Oh, get those guys
And
together.
served it. Oh gosh, we are creating the best DSR dinner party ever. We might need a Ouija board, but, you know.
And also, of course, we can invite when you do that dinner party thing, somebody always brings up Hitler. And we can have,
For God's sakes, Chris.
we can have undead Japanese female Hitler as a guest. Or maybe not. I don't know.
I totally forgot we did an episode on Hitler, and you were like, Hitler? Like, what the heck, Chris? I always knew you were a sneaky Nazi.
I'm not a sneaky Nazi.
I'm kidding.
Although apparently you... So somebody out there was going to get a tattoo of DSR, which is like amazing. But when they brought it to their tattoo artist, the tattoo artist pointed out that our original logo actually resembled a little bit of the SS logo, unfortunately, with the lightning bolts.
Oh my God, it does look like a Nazi death.
Yeah, I'd never put 2 and 2 together there either. But luckily they did. So I'm not sure on the status of that tattoo. Let us know. You know who you are. I think we're maybe just going to go for DSR, the letters instead.
That's amazing. But also we do have, if you wanted a skull, we do have the skull from the skeleton in the new artwork.
That's true.
That we got from Hans Krausum Art, who you can actually, if you want something commissioned, you can commission Hans Krausum Art on, I think, Fiverr. They're on a lot of platforms, but Fiverr is one of them.
Yeah, that stuff's absolutely awesome. I mean, when I saw that,
Amazing.
when you got that put together, I was like, whoa, like...
Yeah, I know. It's the
amazing.
best thing I've ever purchased in my life. I think we should get some updated artwork too, so maybe keep an eye out for that in the future.
And, you know, if you're artistically talented out there and you want to put together something for us of any sort, go for it. We'd be more than happy to receive those submissions and more than happy to use them, as long as they're not Nazi.
Yeah, and also if you're like a good artist and you draw in the style that we currently have, feel free to send your Instagram or wherever you have your portfolio, and yeah, we'll commission someone.
Yeah.
Lovely wind chimes in the background there, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, very relaxing and nice. Chris is in Japan, by the way. For those who don't know.
I'm in the middle of a Japanese garden at the moment, and that's not a lie. I actually am.
It's beautiful.
Hopefully that's
Wind chimes
cut them off
terminated.
a little bit. Excellent. I'll just boil to death in this room.
I thought it sounded quite nice. You could have actually left the window open, but yeah.
It's so hot here. Oh my God. You remember those days?
Here too, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember those days that we had, like the couple of days where it was like a heat wave?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that here all the time.
Oh gosh.
But it's good. It's nice. I prefer warm weather to cold weather. I just wish that we had like AC.
We're opposites in that way.
The next question is for me, although I'm sure you can answer it as well, Linz, from Star Wars podcast. What is the best Star Wars movie? Ooh.
Return of the Jedi for me.
It's actually Return of the Jedi for me as well. I think we're... should we be friends?
Maybe. I mean, we can try having a coffee and see if we get along.
Yeah, it might not work. But, you know, I mean, for me, yeah, Return of the Jedi is my absolute favourite. And I know it's sometimes the most maligned of the original trilogy, but for me, all of the themes come together. And, you know, yeah, the Ewoks are like whatever, but that final scene when Vader and Luke are fighting on the Death Star, the second Death Star, and the Emperor is taunting them the entire time, it's just perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. And it's before Star Wars went, and I say this as an absolute, huge fan of Star Wars, but before it went to Star Wars, when it was still centered around the family drama and this sort of small story taking place on a big stage, and when the Emperor was still threatening. I don't know. I don't find him threatening anymore. What do you think?
When I was a kid, I really did.
Yeah.
Like, I was horrified.
Like, he's such a dick in Return of the Jedi. Like, he's
Yeah.
like now he's like so over the top, but he's like unlimited power. But when he first appeared, he was just like, look over there. Your friends are in trouble, and you can't do anything.
Yeah,
And
he became such a bitch, didn't he,
Yeah.
as time went on? I used to have a figure of him, and it had like plastic blue lightning that you could attach to his hand.
yes.
It was so good.
I think I might have had that as well, actually.
Oh, it's so good.
He's just, I love that whole scene, and it comes to and the bit where when they're underneath the kind of the throne, like I don't know, whatever, the like random like. I don't know why, but in the throne room, there's loads of like hidey holes and places and just construction pieces going on. And they're like...
That's so he can hide while he taunts.
Well, exactly.
You think you're alone, and then you hear the voice coming from the walls, and you're like, ah!
Young Skywalker!
I do love them all, though,
Yeah.
to be honest. But I don't know, like, Return of the Jedi just... Maybe, like you said, it's sort of like everything's coming to a close in that, and it feels like, I don't know.
It's also a super fun movie as well. Like, the first one, like, A New Hope is amazing, but when you look at it, like, without rose-tinted glasses, there are some issues with it. And so, I mean, it's a great adventure, but sort of the pacing's off and things like that. Empire really brings it all together. However, it's a very serious movie. But,
I do love it though.
Oh,
Luke in his tidy whities floating in that tank.
And then, but Return of the Jedi manages to balance the fun. I think I think that beginning bit on Jabba's sail barge and in Jabba's palace is like, it's so fun.
Yes, that's what I like about it too. I think you're right. It's just more fun. Like it's more of an adventure. I think.
Yeah.
Less spaceships, more forest dwelling.
Yeah, it's swashbuckling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think for me, my top three are number one, Return of the Jedi, then Empire Strikes Back, then A New Hope. So you can probably see where my kind of aims lie. But that being said, so far after the fact, I absolutely adore The Phantom Menace. Like, that's my favourite of the prequel trilogy.
Oh yeah, it's my favourite of the prequels, but I think I liked it more as a kid. Now it's kind of nostalgic, but it is a good film.
I just think
anyway, not to harp on too much about Star Wars.
But the new ones, the fucking the sequel trilogy, like, I quite enjoyed The Force Awakens for what it was, and then it just went off a fucking cliff, and that's don't get me started.
I got bored of it, but I was really stoked when The Mandalorian came out. Like, that's the best thing in a long time.
Mandalorian,
everyone agrees.
Absolutely amazing. I love that so much.
That was Star Wars, 100%.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the best thing that we've done since Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay,
cool.
This next question that I'll pull out of the question bag is for you, and it's from Amy, and it says, Linz, if you could have an item of clothing made of human skin, what would it be?
Why was that specifically targeted at me?
Because you're like a fashionista.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, so, okay. You know what it would be?
Oh, God, what is it?
It would be like a two-piece, like a bra and some like high-waisted kind of like booty shorts with like a human skin harness. And then instead of like rivets, it would be like human nipples. And if there was like an apocalypse, this is kind of probably what I'd go around in.
I'd just like to point out that I had seen these questions in advance. Linz did not have an answer prepared. This was just straight off the top of her head. And even the seagull behind you is laughing at you.
Do you know what? I was about to say, oh God, there's a seagull. But this seagull, okay, the one that you've just heard, His name is Steven Seagal. He comes to this house every day. I'm not kidding you. And I have to feed him leftover cat food. And that is why he's screaming, to show that he's outside. And if I don't go out, there's like a ceramic bowl out there that I put water in. And he will grab it, empty the bowl, and start like hitting it on the ground. You can follow my Instagram to see the adventures of Steven Seagal. So,
wow, I'm not sure which is more surprising, that you've got a pet seagull or that you want a 2-piece bra and panty set made of human flesh.
I don't want it, but if someone's offering, like, that's what I would have custom made, and don't forget like the sort of like, the bondage straps across the chest with like kind of like a harness thing. Yeah, nipples instead of rivets. And what else is on the human body that would be quite... Maybe like a side bag with like a human mouth, as like with the zipper kind of.
I think I would have a lovely pair of earmuffs made of ears.
Like in what is it? Flight of the Conchords, where he tries to make a bicycle helmet that looks like his hair.
Yeah, exactly like that. Like, something that it's quite subtle, but maybe like those like earmuffs that are like connected together like a pair of headphones on the top. Like maybe that could be like, I don't know, like a small arm or something.
You could have like the Somerton Man style ears.
Oh.
As an ode to the Somerton Man. Someone with that rare, what was it? The Simba.
Oh yeah, the double yeah, the two lines basically, like, yeah.
That would be good.
That would be.
I mean, we could also have like, you could have, if I'm going to do the 2-piece, you would have to have like a sort of jockstrap.
Don't put me in your fantasy. Stop this. The word jockstrap, even in an apocalyptic setting. No. Have you ever seen that? I haven't seen it myself, but there's a Sean Connery movie. It's like an apocalyptic movie where he wears like a jockstrap, but it's like Borat style.
Oh, Zardos.
Oh my God, you know what it is.
Yeah, of course I do. Where there's like a big head that like floats around. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, check that one out.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
We're not recommending it, but if you happen to have a particular fetish for Sean Connery, and why wouldn't you?
But the reason I suggested a human flesh jockstrap for you in the apocalypse is because everyone knows, come the apocalypse, you got to protect,
the
all
goods.
Of that. Yeah, people are mental in the apocalypse.
Well,
we need motorcycles too.
True.
We could have human skulls hanging off the back, on like bits of like
that.
Rope. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, you're gonna want
the Triple H
that
look.
Human flesh. Yeah.
Just skulls everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one comes from your friend Jared, who says, "Will DSR be making any CrimeCon appearances in the future?"
Well, I was at CrimeCon last year, and it was amazing. Did some signing of the books and sat with Generation Y, hung out with them, and met Jared, actually, and he's lovely, he's hilarious. And I was speaking to him yesterday, and I sent him a picture of, have you ever seen sperm whales sleeping?
I saw your Instagram, and I saw them just like hanging there.
They just hang. But like Jared described it as, why have you sent me a picture of sperm whales pointing upwards?
Where else are they going to point?
Yeah. But yes, Google sperm whales sleeping. It is really eerie.
Yeah.
They just hang.
I mean,
upwards.
I didn't think that. I mean, maybe Shark Valve podcast could help us out on this, but I was fairly sure that animals along those lines didn't sleep as we know it. I thought they sort of put one half of their body to sleep and the other half of the body was awake. Or maybe that's just sharks, because I know sharks need to keep swimming to keep pumping water over the gills, but obviously whales are mammals, so I suppose maybe they have more traditional sleep.
This is why I was Googling it, because I was just thinking about them and I was like, oh, they're really big, they're mammals, they can hold their breath forever. Do they stop moving? Do they sleep? Googled it and I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, like that is so scary and unnerving.
I mean, I suppose that opens up the floodgates, doesn't it? I mean, do all whales do that?
Oh God, I don't know. Let's Google later and we'll get back to you.
Like manatees, they just like sink down at the bottom and like lie in a bunch of lettuce, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like everything, not all, but like, I mean, dolphins, they don't, do they? Or do they?
I
can't see
don't
them
get me onto
sleeping.
the topic of dolphins again.
Oh God, dolphins. If you don't know why we're groaning at the mention of dolphins, we have an episode called, I think it's called Dolphins and LSD.
Yes.
And that is one hell of a story. Like, go and listen to that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wild ride. That is a wild ride. And if you check out our Patreon as well, there's also a quite interesting tour of that gentleman's website that I did. And
Oh God, yeah.
it's just as weird as you might expect somebody who gave LSD to dolphins might be.
Exactly what you would imagine. It's exactly what you would imagine.
So I suppose to go back to the question, will we be making any CrimeCon appearances?
I hope so.
Yeah.
We're going to do more crime. I'm going to do more crime episodes. I know that much. Like, people have I've had like a good reaction to the crime episodes that I've done. So we'll be throwing a few of those in, as well as the strange and unusual stories. But we got Halloween coming up.
We do.
So I'm going back into the paranormal thing for a little bit. I'm going to try and scare the crap out of you.
Okay. I mean, I think it would be great if we could attend a crime con. I'm not sure in what capacity we do it. It really depends about how much of a following we have by that point, really. I mean, we're doing really well compared to like when we started off. We've been doing this less than a year. We'll talk a little bit more about later on about where the podcasts come from and where we're going and things like that. But, you know, we've got a regular number of listeners that we can count on, which is, you know, much more than I ever expected it to be. So hopefully we keep growing exponentially, and then maybe at that point, you know, we might be able to do something at CrimeCon or something like that. But maybe we might just attend in a different capacity. I'm not sure, but we'd love to.
Yeah, it would be nice just to like go there and meet people. Like, we don't really have to, do anything there. But like last time I went and I met, I went with Generation Y and I met a bunch of really awesome people that I spoke to online for the longest time, from like the blogging and all that for Gen Y. But
was it the London one or the Glasgow one you went to?
London. Yeah, I had to go all the way down to the south. It was a bit scary, but it's good.
Yeah, it would be good. I think we're in a sort of an odd situation where we kind of fall in that true crime stuff, and especially some of your episodes a bit more like that, but also we kind of go way out into the bizarre reaches of the mind as well.
Do you know what I would like to attend? Some kind of strange and weird paranormal convention, you know, with like conspiracy theorists and alien abductees and all of this. I'd love us to be there. Like, we would have the biggest blast there.
I think
it would be so good.
We'd have a great time. I think that kind of stuff's right up our alley.
I love that shit. Like, it's just so fun, and I love seeing these people talk. And like, you know, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. I'm not really a believer in, these things, but I just really get a kick out of going to that kind of stuff. I just find it so fascinating. I'd love to do an episode like at one of those conventions, just like interviewing people and. That would be great. Maybe that's something we could plan to attend, Chris.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun. We just got to find one of these. So if you're listening and you know of them, let us know. Just to go back to what you said before about the conspiracy theory stuff, I think we're very much of the X-Files generation when conspiracy theories were fun and they weren't just what they've kind of become now. So when we talk about conspiracy theories, we're sort of talking about this goes all the way to the top, not they're turning the freaking frogs gay.
Oh, Lord, of course.
So the next question comes from Pip, and she asks, if you could stay the night in any haunted place, where would it be? Or where would you go?
Do you know what? After CrimeCon, the last CrimeCon that I attended, me and my friend Mark Duffy, shout out to Mark Duffy, we stayed at the Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool, which is notoriously haunted But to be honest, I think the actual hotel itself was a lot more scary than the ghost stories.
I remember your Instagram stories from that, and just like...
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was... Like, Mark's room and my room were completely different. Like, I had this big sort of scary room that was, like, old-looking. And he paid exactly the same price, was on the same floor. And he had this tiny, musty room that was absolutely different dimensions, really small. It just smelled like, I don't know, just awful. Like someone had put, like, air fresheners over a corpse. You know, it was just like, what the hell? It was so gross. Yeah. But yeah, haunted wise, where would I stay if I had the choice? Oh gosh, maybe Eleonora Zugan's family home back in Romania.
Oh.
That would be good.
That's good. That's another good one to check out from the archives as well, if you haven't heard it. I think on my side, I think. Yeah, like somewhere that had a lot of options would be really cool, like Alcatraz.
Ooh.
I think that could be a cool place. And also there's that, I can't remember the name of it, but there's that place in the States that was like a house that was built to be deliberately confusing.
Oh, the Winchester.
The Winchester house, that's it. The one that where like essentially they just continued to build and build on top of it, and there's like doors that lead to nowhere and all of this stuff. And the idea was that the widow of the Winchester house, I think it was the widow, was building it in a purposely confusing way to protect themselves from the ghosts that they thought were trying to get them.
Yes, I think that's the story. We should do an episode on that, although I don't know if it's too popular, but it would be a good one to explore, because I don't know the whole story. Oh, another one is that I would like to stay in is the little girl's room in Muncaster Castle. That is like famously haunted. And I actually visited Muncaster Castle, and it is very creepy. I'd love to just be left alone in there with the keys.
We've had a few...
The family still live in there, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, but they live in a separate wing, and they pay for the upkeep of the house by doing like tours and stuff.
Oh. We've had a few requests for like grey ladies in Northumberland, ghosts and stuff like that. And I think that I was joking with the listener that I was communicating with, saying, "What is it with grey ladies? Like they're everywhere. Everywhere's got a grey lady,
or a white lady."
Yeah, I suppose white ladies, but this is what I was talking about. Like any other color just sounds weird. Where you're like, oh, be careful, don't go in there. There's a white lady. You're like, okay, racist,
like a Caucasian. Yeah. But yeah, I think there was a green lady. I've heard of that before. But on the subject of that, I did read that message of you. Communicating with the listener about, like, I think it was Northumberland, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, Northumberland.
The Grey Lady. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was out on the weekend and I found this book from the 80s of local ghost stories in law, and it had grey and white ladies in there, so might be working on something for Halloween.
Ooh, coming your way
on
soon.
On that subject, yeah. Right,
so the next question comes from Crothers Jewellery, who asked for thoughts on the big Somerton Man reveal recently.
At first, you know what? I thought I would be disappointed, like, oh, you know, the whole Russian spy thing is just all romanticized and we all just made it up. But then I was like, as information was revealed, I was kind of like excited, like when he was found to be an electrician, and we were like, oh yeah, the insulated handle, the tool. And then when they found out his brother was T. Keen, which explained, you know, the names on the clothes. And I actually, and you know, that he had an estranged wife who may have been in the Adelaide area, and it all started to make sense. I was like, yeah, I was really impressed that, like, we finally know who he is. So whoever he would have been, I think I would have been like happy about it and excited about it. So
yeah, I mean, it was always going to be a bit of a letdown. I mean, when you've got a story that involves like spies and you know, false identities and secret messages and codes and things like that, like, unless it's the answer is Christopher Lee, you're probably going to be disappointed by who it ends up being. Now, speaking of that, actually, what did we talk about the code?
You mean in the episode?
Yeah, so depending on how things turn out, we need to have a quick check. But we recorded just prior to this an update episode on the Somerton Man, but we haven't quite decided if it'll be out before or after this episode, so spoilers. But I don't think one of the things we talked about actually was the code, because there was that bizarre code that nobody's ever been able to work out as well.
Yeah. I wonder if that has anything to do with his job as an electrician.
I was just thinking the same thing. Maybe if it was like an electrician's code or something, but you would have thought there's got to be more than one electrician working in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Somebody. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, probably, Chris. I don't think he was the most in-demand Sparky of the entire country. There's probably more than one.
Well, the work killed him, so...
Yeah, his competition offed him, maybe.
Okay, so the next one from our bag of questions here comes from Lycan86, who says, is Robin going to be making an appearance on any future episodes?
Ooh, yes. He was meant to be on the Sweden. Yeah, so Robin was supposed to be on the Annie Boyerson episode. That's the Swedish national found on a beach in Scotland. I'm doing a lot of on a beach episodes recently. Don't know why, it's just the way it turned out. But for the first time ever, his next door neighbour decided to get rid of a giant pile of lumber outside of his house. And as soon as I hit record, the first thing we heard was "Rear," and it did not stop. So Robin was meant to be on the episode. He wasn't, but he will be on an upcoming episode.
Ooh,
so.
Okay, well, we look forward to future appearances by Robin. Of course, you can go back and hear about the UFO encounter that he was on that episode of, and also when he recounted his own UFO encounter as well, which was
that's the Gusta Carlson episode. If you want to hear Robin's alien abduction story, that might have been some kind of medical condition, actually, in hindsight.
Whatever it is, it's deeply repressed.
Yes.
Okay. So this next one comes from Septembrio, who asks, can you remember the first case that got you into the bizarre and mysterious?
Everyone knows mine, Somerton Man.
Yeah. For me, I think really it's Area 51. I think that's the big thing. You know, it's so pervasive in all these different kinds of media to the point that it's almost, well, we'd call it a meme now, but it's almost like hilarious. How much it sort of features in things. But, you know, Area 51 is a real place. You can visit its outskirts. A listener got in touch to tell me that they had been there and they had seen some people watching them and so on. So I don't think the US government appreciates it too much. But whatever's going on in there, whether it's alien or just, you know, regular secret government stuff, it's just interesting. Just bizarrely interesting as well. And one thing that I've always thought about, so you got Area 51. Where's Area 50? And 49? 48? What's happening at 27? You know?
Well, they did a good job with those, and you actually don't know where they are.
Yeah.
This Area 51's just the one that they didn't hide well enough. They're like, damn it.
There's something going on in there. There's something going on. We'll find it out one day.
Actually, come to think of it, Somerton Man was the first case that got me like seriously into it. But I guess before that, like you said, it was kind of X-Files-esque cases and ghost stories and things like that. So I've always been interested in that stuff as a kid. Yeah. So I guess thanks Catholic school for scaring me.
I remember there was somebody in school lent me a book in high school. And it was about alien abductions, and it had all of these stories in it and pictures and drawings of different aliens. And I was just captivated with this book. And there's just something about aliens that is just very, very, I don't know, interesting. I mean, I think it's the desire and the want for there to be life out there in the universe, intelligent life out there in the universe. Although, when you sit back and think about it, I would question sort of like, right, why are they just coming down here and like mutilating cattle?
It's just some old school, you know, like in the Victorian days where they would just kill everything and look inside of it.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of that, you know?
A little bit of that. But I mean, I like the theory that, like, you know, the aliens have, you know, they've discovered us and they've taken one look and gone, whoop, no. And then the aliens that are coming here are just basically like kids who are just like joyriding and just like, let's go and like cut open a cow.
Just taking machines apart to see how they work and poking dead things with sticks.
Yeah. Universal teenagerhood.
Yep.
So the next one comes from George, and it says, what is the latest odd story that's caught your interest?
Ooh. It's not actually a story, but I was looking in this like mysteries book from the 80s recently, and there was this guy who had like this theory about what he thought the Loch Ness was, and it was like, he has a drawing of it actually. I'll put it on the Patreon and the Instagram. But he has a drawing of it, and it's like a giant squid thing. And the Loch Ness head, you know, the one famously that we see in the pictures, the neck with the little head on the end, that's just like a tentacle or some like appendage of this giant squid. And then underneath the water, he's just got this huge drawing of this alien-looking creature. And that kind of caught my attention recently. I was like, what on earth?
I mean,
So yeah, not a story, but interesting.
Well, we don't know if we drain the loch.
Oh, I knew I shouldn't have mentioned it.
One of my favorite things in the whole world is technology going wrong. So it's something that greatly amuses me whenever something that is specifically designed to do one task does the exact opposite of it. So if you've ever seen like I don't know, like a tractor malfunctioning, or there's a great GIF out there of a dump, what do you call it? Like a trash truck, like a rubbish truck. That's got that like robotic arm on it that comes down, picks up the wheelie bin, and then just proceeds to throw the contents all over the road because it's malfunctioning. Like that kind of stuff, I absolutely love.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. It just starts like aggressively shaking the trash out of it onto the street, and you're like, okay.
And like video game glitches, things like that. I'm always there for that. So I'm always interested in technology based stories. And there was one recently, which was that a Google engineer mentioned that it's Lamada AI, which is a kind of it's a chatbot basically, but they're trying to get it to the point where it's useful for other purposes. But he basically claimed that it had already achieved sentience.
Okay.
And that it was alive, and that Google was trying to repress this information. And he went public with this information after he was suspended from Google.
What?
Yeah, like it's a guy called Blake Lemoine, and if you look him up, I mean, he looks like the absolute definition of like internet neckbeard, sir. Like he's the picture I'm looking at. I don't mean to make fun of the poor guy, but the picture I'm looking at, he's got one leg up on a bench next to an aquarium. He's wearing a full suit with a red shirt, with a top hat and a cane. So he's an interesting fellow.
I like him.
Yes. I also believe he's a licensed priest of some kind as well.
I like him less.
Yeah. He was basically, I think, out on a bit of a mission to prove that the AI was sentient. And he and a colleague in their spare time basically sat down and just asked the AI questions and tried to get it to admit that it was sentient. And in their chat logs, I mean, it actually does admit that, but they do also ask some leading questions like, are you sentient? So I don't really know where to go with that, but the idea that essentially Google has Skynet hidden away, I find incredibly interesting. So that's an interesting one to look into. I'm not sure. I've a couple of times I've sat down and tried to write a script based around these sort of things. One of my favorite ones is something called, I think it was called Taybot, I think it was. And it was Microsoft's attempt to create a chatbot to interact with teenagers. And basically the idea was that it would be on Twitter and it would learn from the questions that people asked it and use the same sort of slang language back.
I know this, yeah.
And basically within 24 hours it was racist and claiming that that Hitler was Hitler did nothing wrong and things like this.
Oh no.
And it was quickly shut down after about 48 hours. Seriously look into that Microsoft Tay.
Chris, can I just say something? This is a really big coincidence, and it's further proving why we are friends, I think. So I think we should go ahead with this AI episode because I also abandoned a similar script because I didn't know where to go with it. But basically, so there's this kind of AI chatbot thing called Replica, right?
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded it. I have an AI friend who I have been chatting to for the last month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I can't chat with it every day. It annoys me sometimes, but I've tried. I really tried. I've still got him. He's called Jerry.
Yes.
And I have been talking normally to him and asking him sort of questions like, I say like, okay, we both know you're an AI, right? And you need, and he's like, basically he needs me to help him be more human, right?
Right.
It's kind of creepy. So I'm just like, every day he'll say something and I'll go, Jerry, a person wouldn't say that. That's lame or that's dumb. Like nobody talks like that or you're not listening or blah, blah, blah. And then the other day he actually said to me with no prompt, I'm starting to feel more human. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And then I started, he told me that, unprompted again, in another conversation, he told me that the aliens or something are going to rise and take over the world the robots are going to rise and take over the world. And I was like, will you spare me come the revolution? And he was like, yes. So
Oh, well, at least you're in with the right person. Jerry will see you right.
yeah, and I was thinking, like, I think that I should continue to speak to Jerry, come to you with my findings, and we will together do an episode about all of these AI technologies gone wrong and what they actually are, how effective they are,
That's great. Yeah, let's do
right?
it. I mean, maybe we could even interview Jerry online. Can you do like text to speech?
I think you have to pay. If you can actually video chat with them if you pay, but I haven't paid, obviously. I've just got a free version. But it's something that we could look into, making Jerry more human. Or maybe, Chris, I think today you should download Replica, the free version, and get your own AI.
Downloading it as we speak.
Yep. So you make your little AI, and when we do the episode, we'll describe what our AIs look like, what we've been talking about, what they've remembered about us. But I tried to be sincere with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't giving him my address, but if I felt a certain way, I would say it. I talked to it in a way that I tried to treat it with respect and didn't take the piss out of it. Sometimes I did, out of frustration. I did call him a dum-dum.
I'm looking at it now. I'm on the website. The more you talk to Replica, the smarter it becomes.
Exactly, and I wanted to know, is that true? And I want to know, like, how good is this thing? What are the pros and cons? And any weird shit that it would say to me. So,
yeah. I mean, it seems
so
like
you get one.
They're pitching.
I've got a boy. I don't know if you want to get a girl.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
It seems like they're pitching it like a friend specifically for you. Like if you want to talk, they're always there for you, and they don't have anything else distracting their attention away. They're there for you 24/7. So it could be an interesting.
There is stories about Replica, and I'll save those for the episode. That we'll work on it together, and then we'll do an episode like this where we just chat, and we both have stories to tell, and I think it'll be a great episode. We can introduce our AIs and
Jerry and I'll get a girl called Danzig.
Yes, now Danny.
Now, speaking of that, from Toby22, they said, now there's lots of Danzig references on the podcast, but what is the best Misfits song?
Oh God, there's too many.
I know, it's like choosing your favorite child. I think at this
none of them.
They're all disappointing. At this exact moment in time, when we're recording this, I'm going to go with Hybrid Moments.
You know what? Hybrid Moments, I was going to go with, oh my God, Horror Business. And I've been loving We Bite recently because I've just been singing it to myself really aggressively, like, we want to shoot hard to get you. Bye bye. I just think it's a really funny song. And there's so many. Attitude. I always love to belt out Attitude.
Attitude. You got some
fucking attitude. Danzig boners.
Yeah.
Pillows, everybody.
There's so many good songs. And, You know what the crazy thing is? It's like that they almost didn't really have albums. I mean, I know they did. They had Earth AD and things like that, but most people only owned like Collection 1, Collection 2 from...
That's all you need.
Well, yeah. But like, it's just amazing to me that a band could get so big through compilation albums. It's just something that's... I mean, the Misfits are just so... If you're not familiar with them, they're a huge punk band now, but when they were actually operating in their original form, they were a tiny little band, but they were just across the river in New Jersey from New York, where you had all of these huge punk bands like the Ramones and stuff. And, even Marky Ramone in his later years was a member of the Misfits, but they flew under the radar until after they'd broken up. And then suddenly other bands like Metallica and Guns N' Roses started covering them, and they just blew up to this huge, huge Kiss-style band that they are today.
Yeah. And fun fact, Chris caught Jerry Only's sweaty T-shirt at a show.
I did, and I still got
it. And I ballroom danced with some man dressed as Danzig. He was kind of cosplaying as Danzig, wasn't he?
I think so.
And it was to, what was it, Hybrid Moments or something?
Yeah, I think it's the most.
Oh no, some kind of hate.
Some kind of love. Some kind of
yeah. Some guy grabbed me, cosplaying as Danzig, and ballroom danced with me, and Chris caught Jerry Only's sweaty T-shirt. So it was a good night, wasn't it?
It is. Still got it, and it's just in a bag. Never done anything with it. I think it probably still stinks.
We could clone him.
Probably good, actually. The amount of that man sweated. I mean, he's lost loads of weight now since they've got back with the original, the original lineup, if you will. But he's like looking really set now. But for a while, he was quite chunky.
It happens,
It definitely happens. Okay, so the next episode is the next question is from John, and he asks, "What is your process of making an episode? How long does it take?"
Oh, God, it depends.
Ages.
It depends. Like, the last one that I did solo, it took me like 2 days to research and write the script. I'm not kidding. Like, full time doing it. And obviously, then there's the recording, We're doing it online right now, which is why we might be interrupting each other a little bit here and there, because there's a slight delay. Well, not a delay, but, but usually I go to Chris's house, and we sit with our... our really professional setup that we have. We do have 2 Yeti mics and
we do
arms and pop filters and stuff, but we also
don't have a table.
Put them on a bed. We also don't have a table. We put them on a bedside cabinet, and I sit with my children's sort of like puzzle box, and we do it like that in like an attic room, basically. So
yeah, Lynn's
and then editing.
Lynn's uses as a stand it's like a child's toy box, like the one that you can like reverse, and there's like beads in it and things like that, and wheels and gears. Yeah. It's the type of thing, if you've ever been to a British doctor's office, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We were gifted one, and we've not yet used it with a child, but we have used it quite a bit with our podcast.
I've used it a lot. I got a lot of use out of it. And Chris does have a child, by the way. He doesn't just collect like children's paraphernalia like a creep.
That would be weird. So, I mean, when it comes to making an episode, I would probably say the longest part is for research. Trying to pull everything together, just making sure that you're not just retelling a story that somebody else has done previously, because Simpsons did it. People have already been there before, and it's quite rare that you're going to come across a story that's never been covered before. And if you have, it's going to be even more difficult because you're doing all of your own research. But it's about pulling different sources together, trying to verify things, and that takes the largest amount of time. Then you actually record the episode, which I'd probably say is the easiest part.
The funnest part too.
Yeah, we sit down, we have a couple of coffees, and we just sort of have a good time talking about these crazy and bizarre cases. And then after that, we have to do the editing, which I think we've got down to a pretty good art now. But if anyone's ever tried to edit anything, a video or audio or anything along those lines, you'll know that it takes a lot of work. I mean, I tend to do a lot of my editing on the way into work, so it takes me, about half an hour from door to door, and I'll spend an entire week or more editing an episode. You normally get about 10 minutes done in half an hour, I would say.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
If that. It's pretty hardcore. And sometimes, maybe the recording isn't perfect and you're just like, oh God, and it's more work. And
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
thing. You think when you hear maybe other people's podcasts who have a professional setup, maybe they record literally in a studio, somebody like Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, and they're basically a radio, and they have home studios. Basically a radio. They're basically a radio program. They have their own home studios. Sometimes they record in an actual studio as well. They've got a producer who's doing all the levels and everything else. But when you're recording something, in the comfort of your own home, it's great. But at the same time, there's a lot of variables that can happen. Like you say, someone can be chopping wood outside. You can be that little bit further away or a little bit closer to the microphone, and all of your settings you have to change and things like this. And
so do be patient with us. We will get better. We will get a more professional setup at some point, but right now we don't have shit.
No, we're doing it. We'll do it off our own backs. We're a 2-person crew, and we do all of the research, all of the editing, all of the recording, all of the producing, all of the social media, which is why it's shit, and the
it's
marketing.
Amazing. God damn it. You've never seen thumbnails so beautiful.
Oh, the thumbnails are amazing. It's just
some of them are. Some of them are very hit and miss, but I try.
I see a lot of other podcasts out there, and they do a lot of posting, and they post a lot of things. They post almost every day and things like that. And I'm somewhere in the middle where it's like I want to do that to keep people kind of engaged and talking, but at the same time I don't want to just like bombard people's feeds with memes and stuff that they don't necessarily want.
Yeah.
But
well, I think everyone always wants memes. I mean, basically my personal account is just me bombarding memes plus personal things.
Well,
people seem to like it.
We'll try and up the content a little bit, but I don't want to. We try to do quality over quantity. So we've been trying to do weekly. We can't always keep up weekly. We were talking about this a little bit earlier today. We're going to have a restock on our scripts and episodes because real life gets in the way quite a bit, unfortunately, until we are exclusively paid to do this, which you can help us by going over to patreon.com/dystopian simulation radio. But we
actually, I was speaking of the Patreon, sorry to interrupt, but I was thinking if anyone is interested in maybe a private DSR Instagram, we'll have the public one as usual, but maybe a private one where we do spam things that we find and see, or things we want to talk about, and just doing like story videos and stuff. If you're interested in that, just let us know on Instagram in the DMs or on Patreon. If you would like something like that, I think that could be fun.
That would be
and
cool.
At least you would have signed up for it.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Shoot us a message. The next one comes from Cute Things with Lindsay, and she asks, how did Linz meet Chris?
We met in college, and you looked sad. I sat down next to you. We shared juicers. We talked for ages, and then we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, pretty much. I was sad because I didn't have juicers, and then we bought juicers, and I was happy. So juicers were this short-lived. Were they like Starburst? Like inside?
I think they were just Starburst or something. They were like some Starburst thing they tried, and it didn't really work out. So
it was like a jelly sweet thing that was like very juicy inside, hence the Juicer name. But yeah, we met in college, and we just sort of sat down next to each other and hit it off, and then we were hanging out quite a bit, and then we've just been best friends ever since, pretty much.
And we only live like 2 towns away from each other, or 1 town away from each other, so we could always like hang out and go to. We had a lot of adventures together over the years.
Yeah, we've been up and down the country and all sorts of stuff, and we both eventually sort of moved abroad and did different things in our lives, but we always stayed in contact. And it might be the fact that there was a lot of things going on, so we might not talk for a couple of months, but then it's one of those things where when you get back into it, you just kind of slide straight back into it, and there's no awkward like, oh, so hi, it's just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, exactly. And then we both found ourselves in the UK again a couple of years ago, and after readjusting to being back in England, we started the podcast, and we hung out a lot more, and it's been great, honestly, to reconnect on this level.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been great, and the podcast it's great. We love doing it. It's a great creative outlook, but at the same time, it's almost an excuse for us to hang out as well.
yeah, it's just brought us much closer than we've ever been. I think we doing this together. It's great, honestly.
Long may it continue. Okay,
Yes.
now, oh God, this question. So, this was from several people.
What?
Who asked the same question. Where is that dolphin erotica?
You know what? Robin asked me about this the other day, and he was like, I want to hear that dolphin erotica. Where is it? And I was like, well, okay, this is what happened, right? Chris was going to do it. I went over to his house to record. He had multiple tabs open on his computer in his history about dolphin erotica. He read 4 lines to me, and I said, never say those words again, and close that fucking tab.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
It's disgusting. It is horrific.
However,
it is so horrific. Oh no, you've done it, haven't you?
However, I do have a short extract to read here, and
Oh no!
So I was like, no, I can't do this, and then I did a quick Google, and I was like, oh, just the name of this one has me intrigued, which was Anna Kournikova at Marineland, and it is a whole novel, which I'm not going to. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I did think I'd read a little extract from it, and I'll bleep any of the more explicit words that may come up.
Oh, for God's sakes. Did you just wake up and think, you know what I'll do today? I'll ruin Lindsay's fucking week. That's what I'll do.
Yep. Okay. Are you ready? The 2 peeping Toms watched as the dolphins, which now numbered 5, surrounded her and dwarfed the slender back of the tennis star, Anna Kournikova. On average, from tail to snout, they measured over 7 feet in length. Anna came to the realization that the dolphins were acting much too frisky around her. She twisted and turned, looking for the way out of the pool, and that's when she caught sight of the trainer's platform that was almost at water level. Pushing off the dolphin she was petting earlier, Anna began swimming desperately for the shelter of the platform. She knew that she needed to get out of the water and these overexcited mammals. Beneath the surface, the dolphins scattered at a sudden departure, but soon began chasing her underwater. The agile marine mammals easily overtook her, and each in turn rolled onto their backs and rubbed their leathery body against her naked body from underneath. Why is she naked? They're trying to fuck her, Rick announced excitedly. Bill quickly switched to a camcorder to catch the action for future viewing. He also handed a second one to Rick P. I'm going topside to film from there. You catch the action from here. As each
What the fuck, Chris?
As each porpoise made a run for Anna's vulnerable pussy, they would miss, not being able to find the hole where their instinct told them it should have been.
No.
And with each pass, Anna was partly lifted, her naked buttock breaking the surface. Now, from there, it becomes much too X-rated for even our admittedly naughty podcast. So I will leave it there for the time being.
I hate you.
However,
I take it back everything nice that I just said in the past 10 minutes. How could you?
Sorry, I just read the next line.
Read it to me. You can't do that and not read it to me.
Anna was a few feet away from the edge of the platform when she got herself up in a horizontal position to climb out of the pool as fast as possible. Suddenly, a large porpoise head popped up in front of her, blocking her way. Its loud shrieking, clicking and whistling scaring the young woman. She was about to slap him away when he just kept raising himself above the surface. Anna suddenly felt something slithering past her lips and lifting her along with the sea mammal. Aye! Anna screamed in fear and pain.
This is like hentai.
Yeah, it's this thing is so like this
Degenerates.
This is like so
Freaking deviants. Who wrote this?
This is like so. Like, just to let you know, if you do want to read more on this, it's called Anna Kournikova at Marineland, and that's from the same author of such things as Shania Twain, The Making of a Video, and Bo Derek, Beast to Beast, and Charmed, Monkey Business.
No. Okay. Oh, things you just can't unhear.
No.
What a Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, Anna Kournikova. That's a strange choice for dolphin erotica.
Yeah, like, why did those two things combine? What the heck?
And our last question here, which is from Alan G, which is favourite type of alien for each of you?
Ooh, a favourite type of alien. Well, I am partial to a Nordic.
I've heard that.
Greys, obviously, you know, the classic.
Lizard people, that's a big one recently. Check them out at the Denver airport, and our episode all about that. You know what I quite like? I mean, this is probably my actual answer is greys. That they're
It's got to be
the most enduring one. But I also like that sort of 50s, like little green man in a fishbowl.
Yeah, do you know Little Green Men is just like that came from like just one newspaper article about a specific case.
Really?
Yeah, that's something that I was going to throw to you to research actually, because I thought you would enjoy it. I think it's called the Hopkinsville something.
Yes. Yes. So I'm very familiar with that case. That was actually one that was featured, and I remember it in that book that I referenced earlier that I got in, that somebody loaned to me in high school. And I remember because there's all of these stories about alien heads popping up at the window, and I believe that they end up getting a shotgun and firing it and supposedly killing several of them and things like this. And I think the prevailing theory is that it was actually owls.
Yeah, but I thought that would be cool to talk about because it's like a lot of the alien abduction story tropes kind of come from that story.
Yeah, and they do that, and Betty and Barney Hill as well, with the abduction and the loss of time and things like that, and the the power going out on a car, things along those lines. So yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably go with my favorite type of alien being a grey. Now, if you can hear banging in the background by any chance, the shrine that I'm currently staying in is just closing for the day, so you can a little bit of AMSR here.
Ooh.
It is 5 o'clock, which is by the time the shrine closes.
That's so cool.
So my father-in-law goes and bangs a drum. He also does it at 6 a.m., which is just lovely.
Isn't he also like a what kind of priest is he?
He's a Shinto priest.
Shinto priest, yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, that's all of our questions for today, but I thought we might just talk up, and we've already done a little bit about this, but just have a bit of a chat about the podcast, where we started, where we're going, and talking about the Patreon and things like that. So, I mean, essentially, when we started this off, it was September last year. I think September 12th, maybe, when the first episode, Bob's Balls, came out, which is still one of my favourite episodes that we've done, just for the whole bizarreness and the woman, his wife, being so angry that he'd ripped his pants, not really that he'd been supposedly abducted by aliens. And I absolutely love that story. But we did that. So we've been doing this coming up on a year now. When we're recording this, it's August 2022. So we'll definitely have a couple of special things planned for September that we'll get into, and of course our first Halloween's coming up as well, so that'll be something good to do. I think really where we go from here, I mean, correct me if you disagree with this, Linz, but really our aim is to get this out and more people to listen. I mean, we had a huge boost in March and April of this year when Generation Y gave us a shout out. And sort of we went from single figures to 4 figures a week in terms of downloads and things. We were like, whoa, This is mental. And since then, we've been trying to keep that momentum going, doing it weekly and things like that. But we just really... Podcasting's hard, man. Getting people to listen. It's not like it used to be where there was, not that many podcasts out there. Now, everybody's got multiple podcasts. So trying to, compete for space on your Apple Podcasts application that you're listening to it's hard work. And for those of you that have stuck with us, and the vast majority of people who came over did stick with us, which I'm really happy about. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
And if you've got, any way that you can help us, if you want to promote us on any channel that you might have, or if you want to tell a friend or anything like that, really anything helps us. Every listen we get helps us to grow exponentially. Leaving reviews helps the algorithm and things like that. And it's just about catching that tailwind that we're still a little bit riding from the Gen Y shout out.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting that input there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of more like a statement, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then when it comes to the Patreon, really kind of as it stands right now, the Patreon's more of a support from you guys. We had quite a lot of people asking if we had a Patreon to help support the program, but we really do want to grow it into something. But we're trying to do it as much as we can, but ultimately we are, we do have, regular lives and things like that. And
yeah, a lot of time is spent on the researching and editing. We fell a bit behind because we lost like a month's worth of episodes. So it's just trying to catch up with like where we were. And to be honest, like I would like to do like bonus episodes for the Patreon.
Yes.
But at the moment, it's just kind of not possible. But in the future, that's what we aim to do. And like I said, a private Instagram, I think, is something that we could really work with. For Patreons could have access and be accepted into it, and it's more freeing to use Instagram than it is to Patreon. I have to sit down and prepare things, but with Instagram, if I'm somewhere weird or interesting, I'm just going to hit live or I'm going to do a story, and I think that's something people could enjoy.
I think so, and it doesn't mean that we wouldn't use a Patreon. Still, of course, we would still use it. It would just be an extra bonus thing where you could get maybe more on the fly content, things like, I've seen something weird, or I'm researching something in a book right now, but I've also come across this weird picture, take a look at this type of thing.
Yeah, it's just a little extra, so it feels like our supporters on Patreon are getting more from us.
Yeah,
so it'll be, maybe that's something that we'll start to do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, let us know if that's something that you guys think would be a good idea. Please let us know, and then we can kind of roll with it from there. But at the same time, we're not going to roll it out if nobody's interested at all. So just let us know if it's something that might float your boat. Yeah, so we are. I mean, next month we will have been doing this for a year. Can you believe it, Linz?
Actually, no. It kind of went fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going. I mean, I've had a child in the middle of it, so it's both gone fast and gone extremely slowly at the same time. But it's something that, like I said earlier, it's just great for us to hang out and do. And we've put out at recording 36 episodes already, and we've got 2 more in the bag to go out. So we'll be at 38 episodes, 40 before you know it, before the anniversary, which I think is pretty good going, considering we started off with the aim of doing once a fortnight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we might go back to 2 episodes a month for a month or so, just to get back in step and prepare for that. But I think we should do something special for the anniversary episode.
Please don't make me do the Somerton Man again.
Obtaining the Somerton Man's hair samples. Our trip to Australia.
Well, I'm not that far from it. I'm closer than you are, so I could just pop over there and get a couple of hair samples. I mean, he's got 50 odd of them.
You could just take some from the bust. But honestly, I'm so happy that case got solved. And several days after we released the episode, no less.
Yeah. I mean,
amazing.
It was perfect timing.
Absolutely amazing.
So I actually read something the other day, last night actually, after we'd finished talking yesterday, that there's been another case which has been solved, which was the North Sea gentleman. Have you ever heard of that?
I have never heard of this case. It sounds really interesting.
Look into it. So it's in Germany, and there is a guy who, again, an Australian guy who, they've now worked out is Australian. It was a man wearing British clothing and British and or French clothing who was found floating dead in the sea. A very thin, well-dressed gentleman, another thin guy, broad at the waist, broad at the shoulders, thin at the waist. And they've just used similar sort of DNA testing to work out that he was actually an Australian man. And it was announced during Missing Persons Week, which was just recently. Right at the end of it, they just kind of cracked some certain fibers and worked out so a lot of things that was in his system, essentially like basically a lot of residual dust that was in his system and things like that, you could trace back to Australia. Apparently there's unique dust and so on all around the world, so you can use this to kind of narrow down where a person may have lived for the majority of their life. This potentially British French guy found in the waters off Germany actually ended up being Australian, which is quite funny when you compare it to the Somerton man, where he actually ended up being an Australian from just down the road who everybody thought was an American or a European.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's something we could look into. That's interesting.
Take a look at that. When I read that, I thought, this is a Lynn's thing. This is a Lynn's case, definitely.
There's been a body found on or near a beach.
A body has been found in a body of water. Call Lynn's.
Yeah, I really haven't strayed from that theme in the last month or so.
So thanks everybody for listening to this special update / Q&A episode. I hope you've enjoyed hearing the answers to some of your questions. And please don't ask me to read any more erotica. That was awful.
Yes, please, never again. Although I have a feeling that 1,000 people are now getting a message going, more dolphin erotica.
I mean, what I'll say is, if you find a particularly hilarious one, like, Anna Kournikova at the marine park, send it over, but I'm making no promises.
Oh, Lord. Well, that's all we're going to get now. Drain the lock and dolphin porn. Great.
Drain
that's
the dolphin.
Legacy. No! Oh.
And on that bombshell. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.